cover. We can have some now Q&A here. Let me just. Go on. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. What I would like to start with is, can we, if there's some questions related to, trying to keep it initially, I'm sure there's lots of different subjects folks would like to cover. But let's, I see some different hands that are up. I'm gonna actually lower those first, okay? So because I would like, to first start with questions related to what I just covered, and then we can expand from there. So, all right. Adam, you've got the floor. Are you able to, you have to take yourself off of mute. So anyone that, once I call your name, just be sure, there can be a little difficulty in this, and some people tend, we've had that happen in the past. So see if you can unmute yourself, Adam.
Yes, I'm okay. I'm here.
Beautiful. Yes, sir.
Hello, Michael. Hello, everybody. I have
a
few questions, but more important question for me is about those your project no longer belong to us, because decision and what will happen next are decided to us, dictated to us by your partner. How does this relate to our DAO when we start to decide on the project on ourselves?
Well, it's a great question, because so this group is very interested in having DAO governance of this project. And so that's part of why they're so attracted to the fact that we have this governance system. They're big proponents and really like the Algorand network and the Algorand technology. They're creating their own dedicated marketplace blockchain, and it will be incorporating a good amount of technology and kind of principles from the Algorand chain. So we'll be using Algorand, obviously, from the get-go, but they may have something interesting. If things develop in the right way, there's something very interesting that would have this project, their proprietary blockchain that's very, using some similar technology as Algorand, being this, marketplace dedicated blockchain. And they want the DAO, and specifically the Power DAO, they're obviously very familiar with, kind of our plans on Power Network. And this group can actually play a major role in the decentralized infrastructure side of things. And so again, the decentralized infrastructure needs a focal point to really come to life. It's very hard to begin that project without there being some momentum. And, this network marketplace seems to provide the biggest possibility of building momentum quickly. I think that the the food security platform would move a little bit slower than this network marketplace, but is very powerful as well. But we need those, and that'll really help. It'll help our DAO governance system. It'll help Power Network launch. And the reason your point, your question, about why are we giving over? It's not that we're giving over. It's that this group is coming to the table with the resources and the expertise to kind of execute on a project that has always been in our kind of a roadmap of sorts. And they, there's so much that they can bring to this that we do have to tolerate their decision making until we arrive to a point where it is then on, it does fully become a DAO. Because right now, this is a group. I mean, they've set up a separate company that is going to be kind of developing this. But again, they want to transition all the decision making to a DAO. And they are okay and like that we've got the Power DAO infrastructure. And as I'm saying, they're wanting to embrace that, develop that. So there's a very strong kind of bond that they have, with our community. But it's a very vibrant group, and there's, they have kind of a pluralistic leadership approach, and they have, as I said, vigorous discussions. And so until we connect this project with our DAO, we've kind of have to walk carefully through this period when there is a certain amount of centralized control that is out of our hands. But I do feel that we can bring this into having this conform to where we want to go. But it's important that we recognize and are aware that in both of these projects, we are kind of looking to collaborate with kind of some powerful groups that bring great resources to the table, and that our story and our community and what we bring to the community plays into where they want to go. And this is, there's two very important, big, strategic possibilities. And, I really wish that I, could tell everyone that like we've got it all locked up, it's all fait accompli, it's done, everything is, we're just not at that place. I've tried so hard to get us to the place where things are in the control of our DAO. And, it's just, we're not there yet. We're not there yet, but I'm convinced that we will have a great project in the control of our Power DAO. I'm just saying we're near, but we're not there yet. We're very close. Did that cover, Adam? Did you?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But it's because all of this, I was thinking maybe our smart contract not gonna be launched very soon because we have to wait for the decision who was going to be made with the partners. Is that I'm correct thinking or not?
I would say that, yeah. I mean, I would say that the first opportunity, the closest opportunity of things at this point, because as I told you, we had this separate team that was working on the front end of mVault, and got to say that team was not. We have an incredible team that is one of the first groups to work with Algorand. That is our back end. They're a Western European company that has done the back end of our DAO governance system. They are top shelf. They're excellent. Really know what they're doing. This front end team was, not at the same caliber as either our back end Algorand team or this, and certainly not anywhere near this marketplace development group. Like, they are at a different level, and it's a different size group, and so I think it's very positive. While it does cause a little delay, I think it's very positive how they've been offering and now are engaging with the back end team and want to do the development of mVault. And again, this is just the front end of we have all the heavy lifting has been done. It's now connecting it into a usable format where people can come in and actually engage, and they're going to use dApps on mVault to do that. But we're going to try to get as much of that functionality into this app as possible without causing any issue with the flow and getting that off the ground. So I can't say for sure. We took the marker off of going this independently by the move that what was just made. But I do think it's the right move to make, given the weakness of the front end team. We've worked. That team is, they're a decent team. I'm not saying that they were not hitting their marks fast enough and getting to the point. So it's because that team initially did the Power Network site, so they can do good front end work. I think that they did a good job on that. It did take a while for them to do that. So I think we can move much faster at a much higher level with this marketplace development group. It's just, again, the issue of it being a bit of a difficult kind of decision-making process that seems to have plagued our existence, I'll tell you, because, this group kind of operates like a mini DAO, if you get down to it. It is they've formed a company, as I said, and, separate to run the development of this. But, they make decisions by the group head. Like, there's a number of teams, and each team leader has, some say and some sway over the group. And so it makes it a little bit more, like in a more centralized organization, you do have, that more definitive decision making, but it comes with its other, drawbacks. So I really think this group, we can work through it. It just takes time. But I do think that we can get there. I think that even if they would win out in the debate and this other side of the group, and they kind of launched without, this kind of network element to the app, I think it would come very quickly thereafter. But as I said, I'm really leaning hard, and really, we're trying to really open the eyes of all the members of that group to make sure they understand how potent and how just how effective it's going to be to have that kind of a mechanism as a growth, because they're a little bit too, that part of the group is a little bit too focused on, they believe that they can bring in a ton of vendors, and they have a very strong strategy for bringing in vendors. So that's a side note to that whole app, because I think a lot of people would wonder, well, what's going to be on this thing? You got to have products. If you're going to have a marketplace app, there's got to be a lot of vendors and a lot of products. And I can tell you that I believe they have a very strong strategy around that. And it's so strong that I think they're seduced into believing that they don't need the consumer side of this. And that's definitely not true. So like the consumer side is what really is going to, drive the growth, but it is a chicken or the egg kind of dilemma. Like you need that's a marketplace. You've got to have both things, right? You've got to have products and vendors offering their products to attract consumers, but you've got to have the consumers to attract the vendors, so you need both. And I really believe that they've got a very strong vendor strategy, and we're going to bring them the very strong consumer strategy to go with that. And I think you need both those engines. And, I understand that, especially if people have that background of more centralized business models, it's the safer route not to get into anything that has multi-tiered residual rewards, that kind of thing. But I also know that it's very powerful, and ultimately that's going to really bring them the growth that they're looking for. So I think I feel very optimistic about it over the long term. I'm just saying there could be short term, as we're kind of working through it right now, there's a little bit of short term.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, you're welcome.